Hello. Hello! Hey, what's up, hello? My name is Tony for the streets. In here, Lex for the meets and greets, okay? Let's go. It's my first panel, y'all. So if I'm not looking at you, that's because we gotta get this panel and keep going, okay? Okay. I got a little intro because I'm fancy like that. Okay. What really happens, we've often said. When you're not a straight white man. These streets are perilous. A family member may turn out to be a villain. A dog may fall into a bag of waste and learn to fly. Or a sewer rat might pop up and steal your morning coffee. Join us as Meagan Tandy, Rachel Skarsten, and Wallis take us through living as superheroes and villains in Gotham. Okay, so I'm hoping this is all right. Here we go. Meagan Tandy plays Agent Sophie Moore, resident badass and foundation of the Bat Team. Bam!
Hello.
Rachel Skarsten plays Alice
Hi guys. All right, let's see how Wallis Day enters the building.
Hello.
Guys. Hello. Spoke so many days.
So everybody else knows that I'm A-Tony officially in the streets, but Lex at the meet and greets. So you all can call me Lex as I talk to you, all right? Okay, so it's my first moderation panel. So yeah, I had to get this shit done. When I saw I had an opportunity, I was like, fuck this social anxiety, I'm gonna figure it out. Okay, so
This is gonna be mine too. Am I supposed to answer questions?
okay, so I'm going to ask, first, have you seen the Save the Batwoman billboards in New York City and Tampa, Florida, amazingly enough?
You guys are absolutely killing it. I literally was just in New York. I didn't see the one in Times Square because I think it had already passed by, but now I hear it's like right outside, right? You guys
Okay,
like,
also,
it's
I
great.
thought that was fake. Really? Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was fake. I thought that someone had just like superimposed it onto a picture. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, holy shit, that wasn't actually in Times Square.
They like all got together and actually like paid. Like, how much did you guys pay?
Okay, so we're not going to disclose that.
Oh, I was just kidding. But I have an idea because someone told me, and I'm just like,
Social
oh my God.
security number.
Weird, I know. You guys are awesome though, seriously, like thank you for all of that. Like they're campaigning more for it than we are.
Yes. So if you're able to get Batwoman to come back, would you all come back? Or
So, spoiler.
so that was also a
Spoiler,
question for
Alice
Megan.
actually is, okay,
Sorry,
granted,
yeah.
I heard this through Nicole. And so, who knows? She might have made this up. But she told me that our showrunner told her that if we came back for another season, that she would go missing and that Alice, oh great, I hope you guys aren't fighting this. My showrunner's been like, what the actual fun? Also, I'm just throwing Nicole into the bus. But she told me that Alice was going, or Mary was going to go missing, and Alice was going to come back to find her and then sacrifice her life for her. So I'd be dead. Dun, dun, dun. So that's how I feel about that. Like, we do not want a season 4. Do not read that one. I like being alive, so let's just say it like that. But I also actually thought that I could go find you.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
Nobody says it.
Then we could work out our issues together.
My first question is for Wallis.
Hello.
Hello. I wanted to ask you, how did you prepare to play two extremely different characters in season 2? First, Circe, I just be saying it in my head. There we go. Thank you. So how did you prepare to do those two? Because they're very different.
How? You said?
I mean, I know you're an actress.
Okay. Not to jump in on your question.
Sorry.
No, I got two terms. You did it yourself, or it'd be weird if you did it yourself.
Wait.
You are like so prepared.
Yes.
Oh my god. We all
Literally.
talked about it. It was crazy. It was so cool. Like
She like maps out
She
everything.
was so sweet. She called each and every one of us, had a FaceTime, asked ahead, could I FaceTime with you? I want to understand Kate's relationship with you and try and figure it out. And then when I FaceTimed, I was like looking in the background of her FaceTime when I wasn't looking at her luminous face. And there was like all these notes up on the wall and
Like
it's like
CSI
impressive
levels.
as fuck. It's really impressive. I'm really embarrassed. So anyway, now I'm so humiliated. I feel like any like coolness is just gone.
That's so cool. Okay.
Okay, first of all, like hotels hate me because I have to have everything up like as a timeline on the wall. Like I'm like a very visual like artist. So yeah, they hate me because obviously it has to come down at some point. But yeah, definitely connecting with you guys, and I spoke with Nicole and Cameron as well. Because they were the relationships that I wanted to establish with Kate, because they were obviously the most important ones to Kate. Was really, really helpful. And then obviously Circe was like a completely different kettle of fish, right? And to be honest with you, I took my favorite attributes of Kate, and I kind of wanted to like juxtapose them and turn them into I wanted to villainize them just to capitalize on like the extreme differences between Kate and Circe.
Yeah, she's British.
What did you say?
That was British.
Hey, they're very well. Because that's her thing. Like in my acting classes in LA, they always talk about how literally, like people in London, you guys just prepare so much better and so well. Like you guys do a really great job.
You needed some like build up to that statement.
I really just throw it out there.
Like it's like I'm like I really like cupcakes and you're Canadian.
Wait, can I just say, I should have been Circe and British. How cool would that have been?
That would have been awesome.
And like flip between the two.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Damn. Yeah, I really fucked up there.
Next question is for Rachel.
I'm ready to answer.
So I'm gonna let you all know right before we get into this that I have like very detailed lead-ins because the show means a lot to me. So just stay with me. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. Okay. Rachel.
Yes.
We know that 1, you have ridiculous skills. 2, that you could have acting chemistry with a brick wall. Because I know I should not be doing this to you. And 3, that you're an incredibly kind person. Anyways, you grew up with the understanding that mental health is important, and being transparent with feelings and better understanding ourselves allows us to move through the world with more awareness for both ourselves and others. How did your childhood and this understanding influence your approach to Alice, as well as interpretation of the script and story? And then I have a follow-up if you want.
Oh my gosh, this is so sweet. Thank you so much for that. I think I sort of like blacked out. Okay, so first and foremost, I think it's really important every time I'm acting with anyone, I pretend like I'm in love with them. No, seriously, because I think, like, yeah, just that, I love them. Because if you think about it, even if you are playing like you hate someone, it's just the flip side of love. You know, if you're indifferent to something, then I don't think that connection happens. I also secretly wanted to have a Sophus relationship, so what is that too?
So this should have happened.
But I think growing up, was really, I mean, Megan and I have talked about this. I was really lucky because my father was a psychologist, so I feel like emotions and feelings and mental health and all those things were like common conversations in my family. And then my mom's mother was bipolar, so that was also a conversation that we had all the time. You know, sometimes my mama couldn't come to a birthday party because she was depressed, and that wasn't her fault and had nothing to do with me. And so we just always had this dialogue about mental health. So sometimes my brother and I would be like, please, we don't want to talk about our emotions anymore. Too much.
Acting.
But yeah, I think that helped me. Obviously, when I first took on the character of Alice, I really, I don't know, a lot of the times they don't go so deep into the story. Is this really loud? I feel like it's like so loud. It's okay for you guys? All right, it's reverberating in my spine. I feel like they don't go so deeply into a villain story, so I really had no idea. And I'd say up until about episode 5, they didn't kind of go deep into Alice's story, so I didn't know that I was going to have the opportunity to get to play all of those things, and it was really nice to be able to do that. And I think it also made Alice really sympathetic because, you know, she had all of this brokenness, and yes, of course, it was more extreme in some ways, but I think that there was something that everyone could relate to, moments of Alice's journey that we could all relate to. I could relate to some things. And so we rooted for her, even though she was this like mess in her. But yeah, definitely growing up, that and like, you know, Megan and I are just naturally crazy.
Yeah,
so
we're
that also helped.
naturally so it always
Yeah.
works. We're not acting.
Well, and people would always be like, "Julie, your evil laugh," and I was like, "No, bro, that's just my real laugh."
Do you mind a follow-up question?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Talk all day.
The fans, me, have decided that one of the reasons the Bat Team can't stand Alice in season 3 is because she's the unofficial therapist that not only sees the truth about these characters, but demands they see and act on it themselves. How do you balance that blunt honesty, knowing that Alice is using it to possibly prevent herself from demanding the same of herself?
Wow.
She's using her blunt honesty with other people that she doesn't. I mean, that's like such a human thing to do, though. I mean, I feel like everybody has a coping mechanism, be it through your humor, like deflecting real emotions. And for sure, Alice, I think, will say and do things to distract from the immense pain that she's in that moment, both for herself and for other people. She's a genius at like switching focus onto something else. And in fact, that was one of the things I struggled with a little bit in the last season. There were a couple of times where, and Nicole and I would have this conversation, people would be like, "Oh my gosh, like Alice is screaming for help," and Mary's just like, "My manicure." She's like, "I'm a monster." So yeah, I struggled with that sometimes because it broke my heart for Alice. Like I do think that there were points in which, you know, when she's like rooting through the medicine cabinet and then like saying like I need help, and you know she wasn't really like getting the help that she needed. And I know she'd done all these shitty things, but like who hasn't done that when they're in pain? I mean, I've murdered people.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to murder people like recently, and people change, Megan.
You killed Mary's mom.
That was a long time ago. I lived in a basement.
And I would like to say that I started from season 2 to 3 and then went back and watched season 1. And for legal reasons, this is a joke. But Alice is right. So, okay. Megan, look at it. You see this font? Looking like I'm a toddler? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I don't know if you're allowed to answer this, but I'm gonna ask it. Here we go.
Buckle up, brace yourself.
No, don't buckle up. It's not what you think it is. Okay.
Ready for something deep?
Listen. Okay. How do you think the network or
Question? She's like putting her
think? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You can hear?
yeah. My voice.
Turn off.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. How do you think the network could have better treated you as Sophie Moore first and Batwoman's Lady second? Do you think that the shrinking of Sophie's character to just love interest is especially detrimental to queer people who are already reduced to their sexuality and relationships and not a full person? And triply so for Black queer women who are rarely allowed to see themselves as fully realized people.
That's a fucking great question. You know what? You answered those damn questions. Buckle up.
Yeah, take it away, Megan.
I mean, absolutely, the network, I think, shitted on Sophie. And then also too, so you have to understand, I was just telling somebody, there's the network, there's the studio, and then there's the writer's room, right? So they're more of the creatives that are behind it. And yes, it frustrates me so much. It's one of the reasons why I'm personally just so sick and tired of playing the love interest, because you always just get dubbed down to just these one-note types of things. And I've said to Rachel, I wish so bad that I could have gotten, flushed out the way that they would flush out Alice. But they don't do that. And so it was very, very frustrating, even up until we got canceled. I was always just, hoping that they would actually give more of an opportunity. And then the only thing about, because I know that they do that for just Black women in general, especially because we're always just the sidekick, the best friend, or the lover. That's it. However, in our situation, because the question is also do I think that they're doing that to queer women specifically? It's kind of hard to answer that now because Javicia was the lead of the show. So, I think if we had stuck with a white lead, perhaps yes, then that would have definitely been something that applies to our show. It's a Black woman and she's queer, and they're just kind of pushing it to the side. But Javicia being Black and queer, I think they definitely gave her a platform. And so, what kind of sucked for Sophie is that, although of course I was just so excited and very, very happy for Javicia, that obviously with her coming in, I definitely got the little, and that sucked. So. It does happen a lot, to answer that question, yes, and I wish they had done more.
Okay, so as you know, we're campaigning for you guys to come back. We already have a writer's room ready for you to bring this Catwoman. Now, know that Batman IP is, we ain't rich over here. So
Rachel's gonna fund the writer's room.
because would you also be open to tentatively titled, please don't make fun of my title, okay? Actually, don't listen
Well,
to
actually, wait, I'm going to stop you because Megan and I are doing a spin-off on TikTok.
Yes, we are.
We publicized it in the UK already.
Yes.
I'm the casting director.
And the director.
No, you're the director because I don't have TikTok. I cast Wallis. She doesn't know, nor has she agreed, but it doesn't matter.
Right, yeah, you're into
What am I? You played both your character and mine because I'm the casting director.
And you're playing mine,
Yeah.
Alright.
Just a different version. So, basically what I'm trying to say is we're looking for a title.
Yeah.
So please tell us.
Okay, so you're gonna say you're looking for a title, you'll hear this and you'll say never mind. So, we asked, how would you feel about a show called The Adventures of the Woman Formerly Associated with the Bat and Agent Madam Mistress Meow Meow, because we can't get that one. It's, I'm just gonna say the whole thing because it all flows. The Adventures of the Woman Formerly Associated with the Bat and Agent Madam Mistress Meow Meow.
I just like the
I think that works. I think we'll take it.
Yeah.
That definitely works. That might be too many characters, with the TikTok, but you know what?
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah.
We should add some more.
We'll put more in there. Because I'm getting stuck in this chair.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I said she can handle herself. She's not dancing with distress. She can figure it
Yes,
out.
right? It's just a damn shame. You guys have no idea how frustrating it really is though, for me as an actor, because the majority of my roles, it usually is that. And I I don't know if I chose, but I kind of didn't work for a year because I was trying to get away from the stereotype that like we always have to be the pretty black girl on the side. Like it pissed me off. But you know, if I want to work, you have to kind of just like go along with it. But now I just make sure I just speak up about how ridiculous it is, and then I collect my paycheck.
Okay, so actually that brought me into like a deeper question. So, Godspeed to everybody. Here we go. We got this. You're good. You're good. I say as I'm trying to find the paper. I mean, and I was like,
But are the pages numbered?
Well,
Got numbered pages on.
okay, I got it. Okay. Inside Gotham City, superheroes are needed to protect and uplift the ones that the city makes invisible if they don't outright hurt or kill them. And they can only do this within the community. We've seen this in other parts of the Arrowverse, and even outside of it, like when Javicia, Candace, Anna, and Ozzy did a live talking about their experiences as Black women playing superheroes in fandoms filled with incredibly racist people. The cast, you guys, has served as a light to a fandom full of marginalized, especially Black queer fans who have endured onslaughts of violent racism and homophobia as they've supported the show. Understanding that the racism, homophobia, misogyny we've seen the cast endure is just a microcosm of the onslaught of violence thrown at you all. How do you want your community to support you moving forward? What advice would you give to fans to be better community members to one another? And a little follow-up question, because I don't have enough. How do you guys hold each other up and not let the abusive comments impact the work that you are doing day in and day out on set?
This is like Miss Universe pageant level. Just like, did you like your character?
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's for everybody, but
Topic. Yeah.
Megan's like,
man.
yeah, I know, yeah. Just, yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, I try to support, because the question of like, how do we try to support each other? I feel like if any one of us is you know, getting a couple of punches here and there, like we actually have done a great job of making sure that we reach out and just say, hey, are you okay? We saw what was going on there, and you know, we'll even call each other out, you know, but it's always
It's fucking weird. People are mean.
No, they're like
on
really
social media, and it's bizarre because to the person who's writing it, it's probably just like something that they say flippantly, but it stays with you. I mean, I don't even think that you need to be on the show to feel that. Everybody's gotten a shitty comment on Twitter or Instagram, and it's so, yeah, it's like someone can just go on and be all brave, but it really sucks. Like, I still think about mean things people say on Twitter like 10 years later. Like, you carry it with you, and so one of the things that I try to do is like only do positive things on my social media. I try not to put up anything that can be, and I'm not a perfect person, but like anything that can be construed as hurtful to another person, or, you know, because I think it's kind of like, oh shit, sorry. Is it Alex?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Shut up, Alex.
It's the network.
Right now.
I think it's one of those things, you know, when they say like characters who you are when no one's watching, I try to conduct, hopefully through social media, a similar thing. Like how you are, even though no one can see you, or if you're on some anonymous account like talking shit about someone, you just have to really think about it, because nobody needs that shit put out into the world, you know? So encouraging spaces like that and uplifting other people, not just the people that you know, but the people that you don't, is important.
Yeah, I think obviously both of, you know, everything that you mentioned is, they're both really important topics to focus on and talk about, and I don't feel like they're spoken on enough. And I do feel like, especially, I feel like, I can only speak on behalf of myself as an actor, but I do feel like you are kind of unprepared for that world of social media and almost like that level of hate, because like Rachel said, you don't necessarily, people are anonymous behind the keyboard, like they wouldn't necessarily say that to you, so you haven't had to deal with that before until now. And it's also really hard because on Twitter especially, things get misconstrued, you know, things get taken out of context, and, you know, I experienced some of that last year for the first time, and these guys were just amazing, gave me the best advice. And to just, I think it's important to just be able to, as much as you can, because like Rachel said, she still thinks about these from 10 years ago. It's real though, like, some of the stuff you read on there about you, when you know you, it's so heartbreaking to see that that's people's perception of you, and it does, or from experience for me anyway, it's kept me up at night because it's just so heartbreaking. But I feel like it's important to have that support system around you, and, you know, be as open as you can, and have a line of open communication with each other, and just support and uplift each other, and be as truthful and as honest and as transparent as you can. But yeah, and I think people speaking out about it, like what you just spoke about when Javicia spoke out about her experience, I think is really important, and you should call people out for it if we're ever going to move forward properly together.
And then, because, you know, obviously, especially I've had conversations with all, you know, 3 of those women, and it's, it really is a thing, you know, it's really unfortunate. You know, we're on TV, and then so immediately you're just like an automatic target, you know, and speaking of like 10 years ago, like it's actually one of the reasons why I created Girl Talk, which Haley attended. Shout out to Haley. Someone literally, I had 2 people online, they said if they ever saw me in person, they were going to kick my ass, and then they said they were going to slit my throat. And I literally, it brought me down so much that I was like, this is not right. And so I realized that I actually had influence, and it's literally why I created Girl Talk, because I try to just tell people, like, we have to like do our best to live above the influence. And so when you're online and you know, you'll hear certain things, or someone puts something out, suss it out, because a lot of that stuff is not true, especially when things are said about somebody, you know, being racist or this and that and the other. Like, suss it out. Like, don't be so gullible. You know, because what ends up happening is people will see whatever comments, or if they're talking crap about, especially, you know, sisters of color, like on these DC shows, then people start running with it, then it gets retweeted, now more people are talking about it, now it's on Tumblr and this and that, and it just keeps going. And so I think if we just like take ownership of our own like minds and actually like do our best to actually like really look at what it is. Okay, do I resonate with this? Is this true about that person? I think that in of itself could actually help things out. Instead, everyone's just kind of just going with the flow, and it's like, we should be better than that.
I do want to let you know that there are already 50 people in a certain community that you said it's not Goat Gang anymore. It's Goat community. That are ready to fight whenever. Like, yeah, oh yeah, we've been ready to fight. You just had to call. That's all. That's it.
Okay. One day, well, actually, hopefully I won't need to use them, but one day it's nice to know that I've got some peeps like that.
They're all around. Just pull off. That's all it is. Okay.
Does Megan want to say what the name of what it means and what it stands for? Oh yeah, let's just look around. Let's just look around.
Put her on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
No, she told me the name earlier, and I just couldn't believe it.
Anyways, yeah, continue.
Yeah, it's not even that big a deal. It's not even that big a deal. It's fine. It's fine. Wallis.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, what do you think KK is doing now? Okay, so like, let's pretend the show is still on, because in my heart it still is, and it will forever. But what is KK doing now?
Definitely thinking about us and Sophie.
Yeah!
In different ways.
Sophie's not sharing, okay? No.
Oh my gosh. I think Kate has had, first of all, a long-deserved break. And probably was, I don't know, lying on a beach sipping margaritas. But now I honestly think she's, I think her calling is being, Kate, and being a hero. And I think that in somewhere, some universe, or, somewhere else. She's out doing that.
Good answer. I didn't really have Rachel, I have, okay, so they're going to be combined because I don't know what time it is, and so I just want to get this out. Okay.
Happy hour.
Yeah, somebody's like, well, I'm not leaving. I mean, they leave, that's fine, but I'm not leaving. I mean, no, I don't mean that. Okay, so, Rachel, you're funny as shit. And are, like, your one-liners, are they in the scripts or are you improv?
No, she improvs a lot of them. Oh, wow. Like, yeah, she'll just say it. Sorry, now it's my turn. Like, you'll be in the moment with Rach, and then she'll just say something, and you're like trying to keep it character, but you're dying, and like the director yells cut, and the producers or whoever's like, that's it, that's what we want. Like, but like she switches it up every take, so it's just like something funnier and funnier, and I love it because when you watch the show, even like with Rachel's other scenes with people, I'm like, that's Rachel. Like, she said that.
Yeah, I don't know, growing up, my mom used to say she would like, I'd tell a joke or she'd overhear me like talking to myself and then I'd just be like laughing hysterically. So, just making myself laugh. But on set, it's one of my greatest joys to crack up my co-stars, like to fuck them up. Because it's just, like if I can make them laugh when they're in the moment, then I can, hopefully people who are watching it are laughing, but truthfully some of it, I don't think is ever gonna make it to the show. And I just do it to make the crew laugh or something. Like I think it's just like a fun take or whatever. And then I'll see the show or something like, oh, that episode, and like look to the pepper and put it back in the fridge. and like ate the house plant. And I'm like, oh my God. Because it's genius. So definitely, like I'd say probably in the first season I did it less. I think Alice became funnier as the seasons went on and they kind of wrote a little bit more like that for me. And then directors would get into it, they'd be like, how about Alice sits up on, the ATM looking machine in the back cave, and I'd be like, I'm like Elf on the Shelf, So I really, I did like that, and I appreciate you think I'm funny, but yeah.
No, it's every day we're talking about, like, how the fuck is everybody getting this job done when Rachel's making all these
Cam, oh man, he's like my favorite victim. He's so many times in the back cave, because also like he has to be, he's like a serious character. Megan's like an easy target. I could like, Megan is just like, it's like not even a battle, It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But Cam is like harder. And sometimes, like we had that one scene actually where I was sitting up on the thing, I can't remember what, and Cam had to like look at me, and yeah, do you remember that? Oh, that was so fun, and every time I would do something different on his coverage, I just fucked him up so hard. But his laugh was like so contagious, that it's, I don't know, I guess one of those like laughs that like lights up his face. It's really fun. You were also fun too. But you too, easy target, man. I'm like, that wasn't even my best material. Like a C+.
I just love it though, because you just can't write that shit. Like, you just can't. And I think that's why they keep it in.
Well, the houseplant, I actually thought it was basil and I ate it, but it was so I pranked myself. It's an apple, right? Sophie's apple or something. Were you in the refrigerator?
Oh yeah, they were like, okay, let's just film some B-roll, like you're waiting for Sophie, and I was like, okay.
But there was nothing really in the script. It was just like you waiting there. So like, come on, they were asking for it, and someone had filled the fridge. And I was like, what would be the douchiest thing to do to someone? And I'm like, to live on their food. So I did it.
And then Sophie went and ate after that and didn't even know.
So we swapped saliva in the warm air.
That's Sophie's round.
Wait, what? This one's Meagan, right?
I was just trying to find my little questions. Okay, so. Okay, actually, I'm going to ask Rachel one more that especially the psychological torture scenes take a lot out of you, understandably so. How are you able to recover from these scenes and refill your cup after pouring so much out for Alice?
Okay, it's not all bad. It's pretty cathartic. Like, have you guys ever had just like a breakdown of tears when you're so upset about something, like to the point where you feel like you can't even breathe? And then
last night.
Megan's like, oh yeah, like right now? You know, after how there is this feeling of having had a release of emotions, and it feels, there's a calmness to it, and so, bizarrely enough, when I'm doing these scenes of torture, you know, if a scene is 3 minutes, you're filming that for 6 hours, so you're in that space for a really long time, and so I would come home and actually feel like, oh, I like could cry on, you know, feeling good, got it all out. But definitely, I think it was in season 1 actually, when I was, they gassed me with, like I was down in the basement with Mouse and, you know, something like Scarecrow's gas. And maybe the lady who jumped in the basement, Queen of Hearts. That was a lot, because like they were dragging me on the ground, and it was also like really bizarre. Sometimes you guys have these moments where like you're on set, and sometimes it's like the opposite way, where you're like, I can't believe this is my job. Yeah. And then sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my job. Like the prop guys would always come and he'd be like, it's handcuff time. I'm gonna get you. Like, Brian love that too, so. Yeah, I know. So yeah, that was tough. I think also like I'm shockingly, I'm an introvert. Meagan can attest to this. And so normally like I had a whole kind of process. I would come home, I would love sitting in the shower and I listened to this bizarre crime podcast. And so I would like turn on my crime podcast. Usually we were getting home at like 7 a.m. And I'd listen to this like Australian dude talking about murder, and I'd just like sit in the shower and be like, case file. Case file true crime, yes! I love it. And I would just sit there and kind of let everything go. But I don't just do that for like the trauma stuff at work. I feel like after a hard day for myself, I do that, you know?
I love how after a day of like tormenting,
I
you
know.
listen to
I was thinking of it too. I was like, his voice is very cathartic.
I listen to it
It's like
monotone.
monotone. It's
Yeah.
like, and then, well, this is in Australia, I can't do it, I'm not gonna try.
Indeed.
It was like, there's shrimp on the barbie. Wow, that wasn't it. It was like, and then there was a murder on the person, and you're just like, yeah.
So that's how I do it.
It's terrifying. Okay. Megan, do you know that you and Javicia are the standard for queer relationships on TV, period?
Oh,
I didn't know. Oh, okay, well, now you know, because we are all aspiring for it. No one's cheating, no one has died, you're both black, what the fuck? Okay, so I just have to say that part. Okay.
Yeah, that was just you, wasn't it?
Caroline said in one of our interviews that Wildmore's ending, and we saw on the Instagram live you and Javicia did for the finale that you knew about the development of Ryan and Sophie right after season 2 ended. Was there anything you did in your craft to prepare for this change? And considering how Sophie initially felt about Ryan in season 2, how did you feel about the dynamic changing between the two characters?
It was hard for you to get over Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like low key, I was just trying to do the Alice the whole time. So when he told me that he did Ryan, I was just like, what the hell?
I mean, as far as like just preparing for that, I mean, honestly, and I think I said this too in the meet and greet, it honestly, it caught me off guard at first because I do remember, it didn't matter really who was casted. I remember specifically Caroline had said to me that Mark Pedowitz, Peter Roth, they did not want me to be the love interest of the new Batwoman because they wanted to.
Sorry,
No, you're good. No, I get it. So she had said that they wanted Ryan to just have her own love story. It's going to be different, and plus they didn't want to recycle the same story. And so I totally understood. So season 2, I was just all up in my zone, being the crow, and then they took the crows away. So then at the end of season 2, that's when she gave me the phone call and just said, so we're gonna make you the love interest. And it sincerely, it just caught me so off guard. And I was just like, okay, so what? I thought we like didn't like each other. And she's like, yeah, you'll be good. And then we just got off the phone. So my preparation for it literally was just going with the flow. And so I just, every time that there was a moment with Javicia, which I guess she said that she didn't even know until later on into season 3, which I had no idea, I would just play up some of like
She just thought you were like eyeing her bizarrely.
Yeah, she had said that.
Megan's like,
Yeah. What episode
she looked at me like that.
Yeah, I guess she said that that's when she had known or noticed that this was going to be a thing or something like that. And I was like, how did they not tell you you're the lead? But my preparation was just for me to just go with what instinctively would be there in the moment. And I was just like, you know what? I think I would probably check her out, give her some looks, and then, Sophie was in her hoe phase. So I just was like, let me just play it up in that way. But it was just a quick little shift. I mean, we only had 13 episodes, so.
Yeah, you should have had 142. Okay, so.
I just hear your laugh. That's funny. You're funny.
Okay, so now we're done with like the really super serious questions, because that was all for me. This is for my personal gain. Okay, so at the end of season 3, in the Skarsten, there was a hinting of a possible zombie apocalypse coming to Gotham. With your character's last night in Gotham, how would you survive the zombie apocalypse? How would, wait, because I have it for you. I have something for you. I know. Yes, I have to do the research.
See, like, what was your 10 times? I bought it.
That's how would your character, how would you, and this last thing, Rachel, do you think the squirrels will remember your kindness in the before times and aid you in your survival?
Okay, so I guess most of you know that I have like kind of pet squirrels. They're not mine. They are others. Yes, Megan has actually met them and fed them. And this was before Batwoman.
Yeah, this before we even knew that we were gonna work together, which is so interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So I did show Rain, and Torrance, who was on that show with me, his then wife, had worked with Megan in the past, and so they had become friends, and I threw a surprise birthday party for Torrance at my house, and I didn't know anyone really who was coming to it. I think, was Aggie there? Maybe she was away filming or something. Anyway, Megan was one of the people that came to my house, and I have like a picture of her, because it was a surprise party, like hiding behind the couch. Isn't that crazy? And little did we know that less than 6 months later, we'd be on a job together. It's crazy. It was so crazy.
It was meant to be.
So I thought my squirrels would forget me. I know, no, I was worried about it. But anyway,
It's like feral
I
squirrels.
think it's Marcel, but it's hard to tell because when I had him, he became quite obese. I overfed him. Actually, I put a video of him and he's like trying to like balance on a stick and he falls off. And I was like, bro, that's my fault. Like, that's on me. Like, well, I'm just crying out for that. But anyway, so I was back at my house after 2.5 years because it was the pandemic. I hadn't been there. And I like went out on, and Alex was like, oh, here we go. And I'm like out on the porch or with my like nuts. I'm like, hello. And then I hear this like in the leaves or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's just happening. And then Marcel came out. I think it was Marcel because I think Joe's dead. He was in Russia. And yeah, he was old. You can tell that. And anyway, this girl comes up, and then. The next couple of days, because I know that they talk to each other, right? Because it got to the point where the squirrels,
I witnessed this, okay?
so like, what? Shut up. I'm gonna take my meds today. Yeah, obviously. So then, like, the squirrels, we'd go out on the porch, Alex and I, got to the point where there'd be like 10 squirrels just chilling. And I didn't even notice it at one point. Alex was like, this has gone too far. There are 10 squirrels out here, just hanging out, following you around. I was like, I'm in my paradise. So
So yeah, I think that they've helped me. So fuck you guys. I'd like to see how you survive a zombie apocalypse without squirrel help.
Well, I mean, so I used to play Resident Evil. So I still might like play it today too. Anyways, I think I would do, well here's the thing, I would do great. Sophie, because you know they kept having her being knocked out after 5 seconds, she probably wouldn't last too long.
Said that we were keeping season 1 Sophie energy. That's what's going to come
Now
in season 4.
1 Sophie, she would have made it.
Yeah, she would have put some shit up.
What was going on? You know, literally, I would like walk into a room and Sophie's out. And so and here's the thing, a lot of people like notice that.
Where we are having the slumber party, and we're like, oh no, there's a noise at the door.
Yeah.
And we're like so scared, and I was like, I remember we were like, this is not realistic.
No,
I'm a serial killer, and she's like a trained assassin.
Yeah, we like eating popcorn, like all mousy and stuff. It's like, that girl would have, anyways.
I feel like I don't know how I do. I mean, I hope I do, but I'd have the
No, we're not saying more
girls.
panel time, more panel time.
And I think Alice would become a zombie, just
Like
because.
10 more minutes, we're going to be right back.
Megan.
I'm sorry.
Just all right, Wallis.
Sorry, my head's still appreciating season 1 Sophie. They are.
Yeah,
That's the one
so
Sophie was great.
more.
Yes!
Say that shit.
No, I'm actually still drunk on season 1 Sophie.
Hey.
No, I think Kay would be fine.
Yeah, but
Sophie has main character energy in my eyes, and I think I'd be fine.
You'd be fine in a zombie apocalypse. Where would you go?
No,
You have to think about this. You want to find a boat, probably go out into the water until things calm down and the zombies die off a little bit because they're starving because there's no more humans.
Yeah, they can't swim, so yeah, that'd be good.
Yes.
You know.
However, you might encounter a zombie at water because of other humans, because that's also dangerous. In the
Yeah, then they're
process.
trying to push you more towards the zombies so they eat them and not you. I can see that. I would push your squirrels towards the zombies so they don't eat you. Hey, man, I gotta survive. So I'd be like, hey, Marcel. Eat it. Yes. Wait, get another question in there. You have like, look at me like helping you.
We can do a quick
4
fire.
minutes.
We can do a quick fire.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Quick fire question.
Yeah, fire questions. Fire.
Oh shit. Okay. Fire.
Favorite color?
Oh no.
Yes. Iridescent.
Right.
Of course, teal.
Teal?
Yeah. Why do you say iridescent? So British. I love it. What's yours?
Red.
Red. Okay. Oh, you got
When
it.
was the moment that you laughed the hardest in your life?
Wait, say that again?
When was the moment you laughed the hardest in your entire life? Okay, so you're stuck, that's okay. I got other ones, that's okay.
Yeah.
When's the last time you went to hit
I
somebody?
mean, that's like, Megan and I are old now. That's like
I know,
75
yeah,
years of
Wait,
memories.
what was the question? What was the
Honestly,
last
these
time
were
you
1
went
and 3.
Hit
Really?
somebody?
Really? Yeah. Well, yeah.
to- What's the last time you went to hit somebody?
When was the last time you went to?
Yeah.
Mine was like 10 minutes ago.
I thought you said today.
When was the last time what?
When was the last time you wanted to hit somebody? I said 10 minutes ago with Lex.
Oh, I mean, I'm married, so a lot.
Oh god, not for a while. I don't know. When they cancel the show.
I thought those would carry over. Okay, what's the last thing you fell in love with?
What was the last?
Okay, so you can't hear me? Let me try again. Okay. What was the last thing you fell in love with? I didn't
Rachel. I've always had a thing for you, babe.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry, Molly. I've always had a thing for you. For both of you. Yeah, I love you both.
What was the last thing I felt? Okay, this is gonna sound so
Marcel.
cheesy.
Yeah, Marcel.
This is gonna sound so cheesy, but
Rapid fire.
when I was home in Vancouver and I was walking my dog and there were these beautiful little, like, they were just growing hair. I don't know what they were. They looked like little lily of valleys, but they were purple. No, I know this sounds bizarre, but it's like, it's not like, you don't have to seriously fall in love with something, but don't every day you just see something that kind of like amazes you and you're like, wow. And I just thought that they were so beautiful. They were like little teacups, like hanging. So I guess that was the last thing that like amazed me.
I need Megan to try.
Yeah.
No, because it's very, that was beautiful.
What were you saying?
Oh no, I just said that you're famous.
Last question. Oh, it would kill me after. So I hear you read fanfic.
No, that is actually not true. I saw that on Twitter. I don't know how that got misconstrued in the UK, but no, I don't read fanfic.
It says that I play the piccolo on Wikipedia. Don't believe it. And actually, I know where this is from. This is from fucking Pauline on Lost Girl. I don't know if anybody watched that show. And he thought it would be really funny to change my Wikipedia to that I play the piccolo and I have a book of haikus coming out. I cannot tell you how many people have asked me about my book of haikus. So then I was like, haha, I'm gonna go change your page. And then I got kicked off of Wikipedia. I can't sign into your Wikipedia page. I can only go on the general one. So I can't even change the piccolo. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Wait, if anyone wants to change the piccolo.
Wait, what about Nicole's birthday as well? Did you fuck with that?
Yeah.
Well, no, because I'm kicked off Wikipedia. But I do my part by wishing her happy birthday at least 5 times a year on Instagram. And actually, no, I went too far the last time because the head of the studio, he's now no longer there, he's a lovely man, and he sent her an email being like, happy birthday! And I was like, I did not answer this. That's not my birthday. And then Batwoman put up like a slide on her birthday. It got out of control. I also told, I wished Nathan, who played Ocean, I wished him a happy 40th birthday, and his sister actually called him, she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're already 30, like, where is time going? And he was like, I guess actually I deserve to take a little leave it out. I think we're done, we're getting like, I think that's it. If there was a cane, it would be used to pull us off right now. Guys, thank you so much for coming.
Yay.
Meagan, it's really great.
I mean,
Wait, is it for them or?
is it from
It's for Megan. Damn, I like Starbucks.
Actually,
I was
Megan,
Did you get a double cappuccino, mochaccino, frappuccino?
Megan, you have to bring it up here. Putting you on the spot.
Did you know that Megan's soapy braids? That's her favorite hairstyle. Those are her soapy.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You
why I
know,
had
that
to
was
say
so
it.
much fun to do that, by the way. I wish they would have let me do that more.
You look so dry.
Let's take this. I even got a Starbucks gift card today from Danny. I mean, gosh, you guys. My arteries.
Thank you so much.
Mwah.